Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Sarah, my pronouns are she, her, and this is a channel about the cross-stitch projects I'm working on and the cross-stitch patterns I design. Today is Monday, May 22nd, 2023, and this is Flosstube number 6. Thank you to everyone who's coming back, who's liked and subscribed, and welcome to anyone who's here for the first time. It is most of the way through May. It's been quite a while since my last update. I've been doing a lot of stitching behind the scenes and I wasn't quite sure when to film this. I was so close to a finish on so many things and I really wanted to have things done to show you guys. And so now here we are toward the end of May and there were a few projects that I had to get done. And I did. So I have 3 fully finished objects to show you today and another finish that I'm hopefully going to be finishing this coming weekend. And then a few other whips that snuck in there, but there haven't been much. If you're new here, I am a farmer in north central Iowa and May and September are always the busiest months between both farm work and transitioning the kids either into or out of school. And so this is my daughter, my 9-year-old's last week of 3rd grade. And so we're getting ready for summer and all that entails. And we have some exciting things coming up on the farm too, which I'll talk about at the end if you're interested. But first, FFOs, fully finished objects. Nope, just kidding. First, there's a shout out. First, I want to say thank you to Jackie and Justine of X's and Ho's Flosstube channel, possibly the best named Flosstube channel on YouTube, for the shout out that they gave me. I think it was Justine was going through this winter and watching a lot of people's first Flosstube episodes, just typing in Flosstube number 1, and she found me and they shouted me out on their channel. So thank you for that. Now for the FFOs. So if you've been here a while, you know that my dad has a big birthday coming up this week, the end of the month, and I've been working on a project for him and it's finally done. So Dad, for the last time, for the foreseeable future, I need you to stop watching and leave the room. Thank you so much. I promise you'll get to see it soon. So I started this, I believe, back in January. I've wanted to stitch it for a long time. And then with the big birthday coming up, I thought this was the perfect time and I got it finished. I washed it, I ironed it, I framed it. Is he gone? Mom, is he gone? Oh, it's going to be such a glare with the windows. Oh, I'm so excited. It turned out so good. This is Saturn 5 Blueprint by Lord Libidan. His Etsy shop is XStitchCollective. And there it is. This is on 32 count Blue Moon linen from Witchelt. And it's stitched in 2 strands of DMC Blanc over 2 fabric threads. Really sorry about the glare. I did spring for the UV protective glass. I did not spring for museum glass because while I love my dad, a budget is a budget. So I started up here in the top right corner. I did the right side, which was I think the last time you saw it, and then came up this way. And I always said, oh, I'm sure it'll stitch up fast. And it really did. It really did stitch up fast. And especially the back stitching, you know, I mean, the border was like stitch 14, do 1 horizontal, stitch 14, do 1 in, and it was very soothing. So if I was in the mood for something complex, you know, I could work over here. If I wanted to do just soothing border stitching, do that way. Oh, it's gardening season, so I apologize for my nails as well and my hands and various scratches on my arms and things. The wording went really quickly on the bottom. And then I was worried a little bit about how long the solid stitching would take once I got over to the rocket, and it really wasn't bad either. I mean, there were certain, you know, there were blocks of stitches, but nothing too terrible. So it was really nice. It was really, really fun to stitch. There were a couple places that I second guessed my 2 strands plan. It probably would have looked a little neater with one. Over here, there's these individual stitches, just one kind of solid stitch in there. And then it has backstitching all the way around it in a box. And that got a little bit bulky with the 2 strands on both the X and the backstitch. And some of the letters aren't quite as clear as they could be. But I'm really happy with it overall. I usually, now that I've finally figured out, it took me about 3 different times to figure out how to lace things. So I was planning on lacing this, and then I had not considered, when I got the fabric and when I started it, how big of a mat and a frame I was going to put with it. I really liked the double frame look, and this is just kind of the frame and mat that I ended up with. And so I did do a 3-inch border on the fabric. Thankfully, usually I only do 2, but I did a 3-inch. And I'll show you. This is what I had left on the back by the time it wrapped around, you know, the foam core. There was a little bit more on the other side, maybe a 1/2 inch, and there was maybe 2 inches on the bottom that I trimmed off. So I lucked out. I almost had to get real creative as far as making up for the fabric margin, but there was enough, and so I pinned it instead of lacing, and it worked out great. I was able to wiggle a little bit where I needed to. It's not nearly as fun when there's the border and the border is straight lines, so that took a little bit of work this weekend, but I got it done. The frame is from arttoframe.com. I've used them a couple different times, and yeah, I think that's everything about it. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to give it to him. So he has, in his office, there's quite a few other kind of rocket and space type artwork that's already hanging up, and they all have just standard black frame and white mats. So that made that decision really easy. And there it is. It's done. Okay, all kinds of background noise today between a 3-year-old and a skid loader and cows and all sorts of things. So my second fully finish is also a finish since you've last seen it. And I almost had it done last time, and now it's fully finished. So this is Song of Nowruz by Marroomy Designs. That was Miriam's spring release to welcome in spring. There was a Sal, Song of Nowruz Sal. Lots of people finished it before I did, but now mine is done. This is on 36 count memory by Picture This Plus, and the floss, the lighter color is pink quartz, and the darker color is orchid, and they're both Belsois silk from Classic Colorworks. And it's 2 strands over 2. That's my standard. I think I tried doing 1 strand for the backstitching text, and it didn't show up as well as I wanted it to, so that's 2 strands as well. And instead of the date down here, I put Nowruz Peruz. Not sure about the pronunciation, I'm sorry, Miriam. But yeah, that's it. I love it. So happy with it. I made it into a flat fold. So this fabric is a little bit shimmery gold, and I've used it as a background on the Blooper reel model, and it's the backing on Yule goat, and I still have more. So it's the gift that keeps on giving. And then this is an 1/8 of an inch, I think, cording in eggplant, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do for trim on the flat fold, and I just started holding up different trims to it. And I didn't think it would work because it's so dark, but I think it really helps the stitches look even brighter. And so I just went with it. And I've done quite a few flat folds by now at different points, and so I didn't think I needed to watch the tutorial again. I was feeling very confident. And I did okay, except that I forgot this ribbon here. Ideally, you remember it, so there's 2 layers of mat board that go together here, and then a back layer and this actual stitching that's the front. And ideally you would put the ribbon in between the 2 layers of each, and I forgot to do that when I put the back together, so it's just kind of glued on there back. But it's fine. It's going to be standing up and it's fine. So I love stand-ups. I love flat folds. I don't have a lot of wall space, but I have a lot of bookshelves. So, and this is just the cutest little reminder of spring. And I love it. So Song of Nowruz by Marroomy Designs. Check out Miriam's stuff. She's wonderful. And she's a wonderful human being. And she has a Flosstube. Last FFO is something I've been working on for quite a while, but haven't been able to share much about because it's a model. It's my latest release and it's my second freebie. So this, by the time this is up, hopefully the email will have gone out to my newsletter subscribers that the free pattern is available. If you're interested in signing up and getting the pattern, the information is in the description box below, as is the links and information for everything that I talk about today, all the people, all the projects. So check out the description box. But this is my new freebie. It's called Should. It says, don't should on yourself. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so I really wanted to get this out in May. And it's just, you know, a message about having grace with others, but especially yourself. Give yourself some grace, people. And the heart is made up of the quotation marks. So don't should on yourself. It is stitched on 36 count stone from Fiber on a Whim, which is the same fabric I used for my first freebie. And it's 2 strands of DMC over 2. This is the a light, a medium, and a dark teal. It's 3808, 3810, 3811. So from that series. I think Nithya over at Daybreak Stitchery was using maybe the dark one. Was it 3808 for one of the Earth Day projects? I wanted to tell her, I hope you have some left. But really, you could use any color. You could make it monochromatic. You could do a variegated floss. You could do shades of pink, shades of purple, whatever you wanted on a really dark fabric with like B5200 Blanc and Ecru or something. Oh, that would be cool. So don't shit on yourself. And then this is also, I made it also into a flat fold. I remember the ribbon this time because I did Nowruz first. And I had this fabric that I don't remember getting, but I'm sure I got it from Spoonflower. But just kind of motivational phrases. Just some reassurance there. And I couldn't figure out what to do for trim. I held up a lot of different options. It's fly season, good Lord. I held up a couple different options that weren't terrible, but I didn't think they really added anything. And so I just went without. And I love it. This is, I have to find my notes. This is 145 stitches wide by 42 stitches tall. So it is pretty long, but not very tall. So hopefully a doable size, but still kind of a substantial gift from me to you guys. And yeah, I think that's everything about it. So new freebie, newsletter, sign up in the description box below. If you're wondering about the first freebie, this was my first freebie, Stitchers Are Always Among Friends. That is also still available. I will put that information in the email as well, if you're interested in that. Same fabric and actually same trim, same eggplant trim from the Swag of Nowruz. Love it. Love doing small projects because then you can keep stuff. So freebies. My finish that has not been fully finished yet was also almost done for my last Flosstube. And now it is fully stitched. This is Kain Kapal number 4. Oh my goodness. By JavaCrossStitch on Etsy. It's a traditional Indonesian shipcloth design, stitched in the called for DMC. 2 strands over 2 on 36 count paper bark linen from Fox and Rabbit Designs. This was a stitch along, a SAL, last year that was run by Nithya of Daybreak Stitchery, and I finally finished it. Everything was done going into this year except for the bottom border. So that's what I've finished this spring. I worked on it. I wanted to work on it quite a bit in March for Stitch Asia. I ended up working on it a lot in April and finishing it. Boy, I can't wait for the summer when I'll be filming these with 2 children in the house. So those are all my finishes. I haven't, some of those I finished Nowruz and Kain Kapal in April, and so I haven't really looked at them in a while, and so it's just nice to kind of have everything together and be like, oh yeah, I have been accomplishing things. So as far as works in progress, whips, the second half of April turned out to be really good for stitching. I think when I had done my last Flosstube, we had a stretch of about 4 days in the 80s for temperature, which was far too warm, especially for early April. And so there was a bit of panicking and working outside and being excited and ready for spring. And then after that, luckily the weather calmed down a bit, actually reverted a little bit too far back into winter. But everything on the farm was able to slow down a little bit more. And I actually met both of my full coverage goals for April, which is a bit of a miracle. I was kind of surprised, but hooray, which is good because I have not touched these at all in May. So the progress you're seeing is the exact same as it was at the end of April. So first I picked up Peacock from Heaven and Earth Designs, artwork by Elizabeth Welker. This was my New Year start this year. And my goal for both full coverage projects is 1,000 stitches a month. It's not going to happen in May, probably won't happen in September, but it happened in April. So this is where I currently am. So I worked a lot on bringing up the purple. So this is a bottom right-hand corner start. And so I've gotten most of the dark filled in, and I'm just starting to get these purple curves in there, which is wonderful. I get to start bringing in good old DMC 550, one of my favorites. So both projects are 18 count Aida, 2 strands, full cross, and that is where it is. I stitched 1,059 stitches on Peacock in April, and so I now have 3,554 stitches done out of 360,000 total for 0.99%. Did I consider doing another strand of floss so I could get over 1%? Yes, I did. But it was a few days before the end of April, and so I thought there was a chance that I could meet my goal on the other project as well. And so I just said, put it away, and then that'll be a milestone that you can hit when you pick it up next time. So saved a little mini celebration that will be coming shortly. So that is Peacock. And now that I'm getting these out again and I haven't seen them in a few weeks, it's like, oh man, I want to play with my friends again. We'll get there. The second full coverage piece is Ripples by Julia at Electric City Stitches. She is on Etsy. This was the top left start, and I am on page 2. So I finished the first page, moved over to the second page, and this is how Ripples is looking. So good. So I'm getting into, there's gonna be some big blocks of color coming up now. And so when I started off the month trying to fill in some of the bottom, there's a little more confetti down here. And so I tried to fill some of that in. And then when I got down to the last few days of the month and realized I might actually hit the 1,000 stitch goal, I came back up here and just started doing the big blocks. But you know, that's the fun of full coverage, especially when there's a little bit of everything. You can work on the same piece, but have a different experience depending on what your mood is that day. So Ripples, I got 1,006 stitches in April, and it's now 4.12% done, which sounds pretty impressive to me. at 8,513 stitches done out of 206,500. Fly, man. So that is ripples. So I wonder if I'll get to, I might get some stitches on them this weekend when I'm at my parents' for Dad's birthday. And we'll see. So I do have one more work in progress that I worked on. And I'm sure all stitchers have these days where you just need comfort stitching. Should I be working on my model? Yes. This goes back to the don't should on yourself. Should I be working on my model? Yes. Should I maybe be trying to hit my full coverage goals? Sure. But some days, it's May, people. It is May. Mayhem does not even describe my life right now. I'm sorry, Anna. The Peruvian cats did not make it through this video. Comfort stitching, mayhem, it all goes together. There were a few days at the end of April that I really, really just needed to sit by myself with a monochromatic piece and stitch. And I'm so happy that I have this work in progress to go back to, because it was exactly what I needed. And that's Opening Gambit by Long Dog Samplers. This was my birthday start in 2022. I did a upper right start. I'm to the page edge, which is about the donkey's neck up here. And now I'm coming down, and I should be able to get most of the balloon in on the first page. And so I did quite a bit of work in the Your Move up here, the top of the balloon. And so this is where it's at. It was so much fun. I want to get back to it. So pretty. So this is on 36 count shark fin linen from Fortnite Fabrics. It's this amazing gray with just like these veins of blue, and it looks perfect with this dark purple floss. I love it. So for floss, I'm using just the purple sections out of this hank of Silks For You. It says PR 124. So I'm taking the purple sections and leaving the teal for something else that's going to be beautiful, I'm sure, someday. So, Opening Gambit, Long Dog Samplers, pure comfort stitching. And it actually does move pretty quickly, which of course got me thinking and making goals, which is unnecessary, but it's like I could finish this page. So I think I might leave it out until I get a page finish. So we'll see. So that is that. Those are the things I've been stitching. A lot of just trying to meet goals and finish projects that need to be finished. So I've accomplished that, and that's exciting. I have a few stitchy investments and purchases to share. Some patterns. So this one I actually purchased before my last video and forgot about it because I didn't print it out right away. When will I learn? Things disappear onto the computer and I forget about them. So this was the new release from Dee at Dees 20 Stitches on March 31st for the Trans Day of Visibility. But it is available all year round. Pride Month is coming up in case you're looking for a project. It says trans folks always have been and will be. They are here, they always have been, and they always will be. A true statement. This is the second in their Let's Make a Statement series. So check that out if you have not already. So that was a purchase. The other one, which again, would have been helpful if I'd made this video earlier. We're almost done. We're gonna make it. I am part of the Stitchers Collective, which is a group of designers of cross stitch and black work that have a Discord channel where we can share ideas, we can ask for help, we can talk about ins and outs of moving to print patterns or which online marketplaces work the best. Just kind of a place to get information and share ideas and share information, which has been incredibly helpful. And the first charity fundraiser that the Stitchers Collective put together was for Earth Day in April. I did not have a pattern in the group. My inspiration level was like a -10, and I just did not have anything for it. And now I have severe fear of missing out because it's been so successful and the patterns are amazing. And so it's been fun to promote them and talk about them, even though I didn't have a pattern in it. And you could get the bundle until May 15th, which is obviously last week. So I apologize that the collection of patterns are no longer available. Some of the designers may be releasing theirs as individual patterns in a few months. So if you see one you really like, follow that designer or ask them directly. But for a minimum donation of $10, there were 31 different patterns, and they are amazing. I mean, it's such an inspiring group to be a part of. It's really hard to decide which one I want to stitch first, but there are 3 of them that I printed off again, so I wouldn't forget about them. The first is the Sea Otter from Bad Stitch. Look at the Sea Otter. I love it so much. The second one I printed off so I wouldn't forget about it is Biodiversity Matters from Pixel Pixie from Christy. And this uses Cosmo Floss, and I think I'm going to have to get the Cosmo Floss for it because those colors are amazing. And I want to be able to do it justice. So I'm going to track down the Cosmo Floss for this one, for sure. The one that I have kitted up that I think I'm going to do first is Greenwashing by Sprouting Lupine. It's so pretty. Miriam at Marroomy Designs did this one, stitched this one already. Did she finish it? I think she may have finished it already, actually. And it's just beautiful. So that'll be my first one to stitch out of this group someday in the future. The other thing I've purchased was I got a few patterns from a Dees stash, and they're both by the Blue Flower. This one is Spring Acorns, and I had never seen this one before, and something about it just really intrigued me. So Spring Acorns. And then Mermaid's Garden has been on my wish list for a long time. It reads, if you have a garden and a library, you have everything you need. Facts. And it's always really interested me, but I've never been super excited about the mermaid or the seahorses. And so I think I might just leave them off and have that amazing vase of flowers and the saying. And whether I put anything in their place or just move the words a bit, I'm not sure. But, I mean, a library and a garden. That's all I need. So those are my investments. Plans. We're just gonna keep doing one day at a time here. Now that I've finished my freebie and will hopefully be getting that out in the world as I'm working on this, getting this video up, I do have a pattern completed. Well, it's a small set of 3 that I'm hoping to get out for maybe some Christmas and July stitching. It's a holiday pattern, and so it's all kitted up. I've got all the fabric picked out. The pattern's pretty well finalized, so I'll be picking that up next as my next model stitch. Other than that, just hoping to get back on track in June, really. And it's farm feature time. I've been saying ever since I started Flosstube in January and I started putting in little videos from the farm that one of my favorite times is baby pigs on the pasture. And it is that time, people. So that is all for the stitching. if you're just here for the stitching, thank you so much for coming back. Please comment if you have any questions, if you have any comments, like, subscribe, share, do all the things. Sign up for the newsletter if you're interested in the free pattern. If you're here for some baby pigs, they are coming. So spring is obviously very busy on the farm. We're planting field crops. We have the pigs are farrowing, and our pigs farrow out on pasture. So they have, you'll see wooden A-frame huts, and they can come and go as they please. Each sow usually picks their own, and that just provides the piglets with a bit of shelter, especially the litters that come early in April. The weather is still pretty unpredictable. So by now, most of the litters are old enough that they are out and scampering about on the pasture under the watchful eyes of their mamas. And it's some of my absolute favorite time to just go and be out with the animals. And as they get a little bit older, they're going to enter what my mother-in-law calls the sharks and the jets phase, which is a West Side Story reference to when they get old enough, they will just completely form these gangs of piglets and just tear around the pasture like wild things. And then eventually, you know, at the end of the day, they all go home to their individual huts and hang out with their moms. But it's like we're entering adolescence here coming up. But for now, they're little and cute. And so I will put in some videos here of our pigs on the pasture. Okay, hopefully you enjoyed the adorableness of spring piglets on the farm. If you have any questions, please let me know. I love talking about the farm and farm stuff. It could be a whole other video. So I do try to keep it a little bit more focused because this is a cross-stitch channel. So since you have finished this video, my last segment is up next, where I suggest another Flosstuber that you might want to watch as you continue on, hopefully with a great stitching session. And the channel I'm going to talk about today, I know I've shouted her out before, but as a proper official up next, I would suggest Sarah's Stitchy Spot, a fellow Sarah here on Flosstube. And she is the kindest, most genuine human being. She's a wonderful person. She's a beautiful stitcher. She's coming up on celebrating her year anniversary of retirement. So congratulations to Sarah. She was a physician who focused primarily on women's health. And a few videos ago, she actually had her son-in-law make a guest appearance and give us some stitching specific stretches to do after a really good stitching session, as we tend to be pretty sedentary and in one place when we're doing our stitching. So check out Sarah, check out her amazing projects. And that's it for me right now for this time. Busy week. I think I mentioned before, it's my 9-year-old's last week of 3rd grade. So all the summer excitement is coming. My dad's big birthday celebration is this coming weekend. And on Wednesday, my husband and I are going to be vending at our first ever farmer's market with meat from our farm and maybe some baked goods if I can get my act together. So lots happening, very busy, but it's all stuff that's really fun. And the garden, the garden. I liberated my poor mother-in-law has an amazing sun porch, and so we start all of our seeds and our seedlings, and they were all down there, and it's finally warm enough that the tomatoes and peppers could come and be outside and harden off for a few days at my house before I plant them into our garden. And I filled our car. I didn't quite realize I had that many plants. I knew there were a lot, but it was a lot. So lots of planting on the horizon. And then once everything gets settled, I'd like to do a garden tour as well as an extra video. So animals, farmer's market, garden, end of school, summer, stitching, all the things. So it's a good time to remind myself as well as you guys of my sign off, which is do what you can when you can. And I hope to see you next time, whenever that may be. So happy stitching.